The shambles that I am. All right, so happy December. I guess it's still December 1st for a few minutes left on my side. So I've never done Vlogsmas before, so I'm not sure if the methodology I'm going to end up using is probably the best one. I haven't really targeted down exactly what I think I'm going to do, because I did post the first of 25 taste tests of holiday themed candy. I was thinking of that one sort of like a advent calendar, where I try a different Christmas tree, like I did last year with the candy cane flavors. But I think the hurdle I have with that is the taste tests of the Christmas treats. The thing I posted earlier today, I could do 25 of those. I've got half of them done already. But that is not what I feel like what would be Vlogsmas. So do I do 2 videos a day? 3 on certain days when I do live streams at night? Or do live streams count as Vlogsmas videos? I don't know. I haven't figured that one out yet. I think I'll call this my first of Vlogsmas. I will call this the first of my Vlogsmas. I think going forward, I will do. I will continue to post the Advent calendar style Christmas treat candy taste tests each day, but I will also do a Vlogsmas video. I may stick to doing the live streams at night only on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays. I think that makes the most sense. I'm not really sure. I haven't really cracked the code on what makes the most sense for me. So, well, Christmas is on a Friday, so Christmas Eve would be a live stream, and then the last day of the year, going into New Year's Eve, would be a Thursday, which would be a live stream night. It's not a bad way to go. But I think that's probably what I'll end up doing, is I will do an edited video and the taste test videos during the day. So it may be 2 videos a day, a third live stream 3 times a week. It seems like an awful lot. We'll see how well it works out. I haven't really sourced what I think. The thing is, the taste tests, those are literally just a taste test of all the treats that are out there. For me, Vlogsmas should be talking about things I'm interested in talking about, doing a vlog, not a taste test. And so those vlogs would be a little bit more about like what I want to do right now, which is go back into the discussion of those monthly challenges. Because I did sort of work on that. I think we talked about it last time. I worked on the February alphabet project master list. And what I ended up doing, I think we were having trouble with a few of them. The K, the O, and the U in mediums. And we were struggling with the U in a technique and moved one we had in technique over to medium. But then I struggled to figure out one that made sense technique-wise. And it was just sort of like a... But I cracked a few things, I think, reasonably well. I did end up going with custom culture for the medium in K. I might swap that with knitting being the medium instead of the technique, and custom culture being the technique instead of the medium. I just haven't really. What is it? Which one makes the most sense to you? That's the one I like. You're a part of this process. You tell me what makes the most sense to you. Because the thing I looked up was when I first found it, it was custom cars, and it was K for custom, and it's modding cars in a very specific time period style between, I think it's the 50s and the 70s. Getting a distinctive modded rat rods are included in that category, that kind of thing. And I thought it'd be fun to maybe do a model where you hack it, or maybe even do some papercraft. But as I looked further into it, that custom cars and custom culture, there are other things that meet that cultural milieu is the phrase I'm looking for. And some of that was custom culture, and some of it was custom graphics, all with the K for custom. And a lot of the custom graphics are sort of a blend of tribal art patterns with pinstriping, with included elements of that sort of acid comic. That's sort of like I forget the name of it. That there's a main character that sort of is iconic for that kind of thing. But you get a lot of the flames, tribal patterns done with pinstriping, eyeballs with bat wings, and stuff like that. It reminded me a lot of when I was younger. We had these Garbage Pail Kids. Reminded me a lot of those. So there's a sort of like a grotesqueness and bizarre, like acid trip look. Ren and Stimpy is similar in some ways. The old animated series Ren and Stimpy. And so that it has a feel to it. It's a little bit of that rocker meets chopper motorcycle meets hot rods kind of look. And I'm curious enough at it that I would especially like to play around with some of the pinstriping and some of the bizarro creature artwork. I would pull some of it up, but we know this crashes my internet feed. I could probably, and I would discuss it more in a pre-recorded vlog style for Vlogsmiths, which is what I think I'll probably end up doing a lot more of, for using the screen behind me for illustrative purposes of what I'm talking about. So that's custom culture. It feels more like a technique than a medium. Knitting could be a medium. But I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to swap those over. But other than that, the whole list, I mean, I even edited it so it doesn't look so hideous. My spelling errors are gone. Tools. Okay, so let's spell check. No, that's not what we wanted to do. Okay, so tools, spelling. Okay. Yes. Okay. So what I ended up doing is finishing off the list. Are you not paying attention? Okay, fine, bye. I have it in a setup now where I can actually take a graphic image of it and post it behind me for when we do discussions of that. And that's going to take place in February, so we've got some lead up time before that hits. So the list as it stands right now is themes of astronomy, babies, courage, dream, elegance, fear, gift, heroes, illusion, justice, keys, laughter, mischief, noir, old, protection, quills, rest, strength, transition, uncovered, victory, winter, xenophobia, yard, and zoo. And so they're sort of abstract concepts in most cases. There are some less abstract terms. Keys could be less abstract or more abstract, depending on how you use it. Medium is definitely pretty much where it needs to be. It's acrylics, bone, chalk, dough, enamel, felt, glass, hair, ink, junk, knitting, leather, metal, neoprene, oil, paper, quotes, ribbon, stone, tape, and here's the one that I finally settled on for you. The letter U, is UV. So this could be UV resins. This could be UV inks. You could use ultraviolet sensitive beads for beadwork. You could do a lot of things with UV as a medium. Then I have vellum, wood, X-rays, yarn, and ziti, the pasta. And then objects are arrow, book, card, doll, egg, flower. And so these are all basically just things that you can. The goal for this is to take these 4 lists: theme, medium, object, and technique. And you can do the 5th one, which is just the letter. And you set aside a day for each one of them, basically a day for each letter of the alphabet. And you decide on a given day, say Thursday, the 5th of February. Is it even a 5th? Is it even a Thursday? If I got that exactly right. Oh, Friday the 5th. That's close. Okay. If you did the 5th of February as Friday, and you decided you were going to do the letter H for that day, you could do something with hair or heroes or hammer or hydro dipping or just the letter H. Or if you have something of your own that you're interested in doing that starts with an H, go for it. Hydrangeas, I don't know. That's all up to you. But this is a list of like options and ideas that you can read for, like, if you're going into the month of February and you just like, I don't know what I'm going to do for the letter J. What am I going to do? Well, here's a list. You have 4 options, 5 options on this list: Japanning, jewelry, junk, and justice. Letter J, those are your options. If you need them, if you have an idea of your own, please do it and share it. And so that's the idea for that one. I sort of I got so far into that I struggled for a little bit to get the last ones for qualifying. Why are you losing focus? I don't know. But that was literally just one of the months of things to do. So the first one we're going to end up doing is January, and that's Janimation, a 5-minute animated short in a month. Then it's February. Then it's March, 7 songs. That was the one I think I had a lot of fun finding out that, like, technically, to be considered an album, you have to have 7 songs and a minimum of 31 minutes on it. If you can pull that off, it constitutes an album by classification. So if you can do that, 31 minutes divided by my brain's not going to math right now. 31 divided by 7 equals 4 minutes each. If you did 8 songs and 32 minutes, should be, 4 minutes each. So 4-minute songs, that's not too bad. If you did 8 4-minute songs, you would have made an album. I don't know that I'll be able to pull that off, but it'll be fun to try. And maybe I could do covers of public domain songs. I don't know. For some of them. My own interpretation of them. Then it's Script Frenzy, write a 100-page script in a month. Then the photo book. Then the game jam. Then July is make an independent film. August is try a new recipe each day. September is painting. October is ink. November is NaNoWriMo. And December would be Vlogsmas again. So, like, the December Vlogsmas is, I'm doing the practice run this year, I guess. I guess there's no practice. You either do it or you don't. NaNoWriMo I've done. I've tried Inktober and never really frickin' succeeded. September being Paintember, I think is a project I have to keep in mind, because that's going to be very similar to Inktober, but it's going to be a challenge. Well, excuse me. I'm already super tired. August is try a new recipe a day. I've got enough recipe books. I can just dig through and just build up a master list of the ones that I want to try. I think the big ones are going to be the indie film, the game jam, photo book, Script Frenzy, the music, and the animations. Possibly the alphabet project, but that's really just kind of like pick a thing to tinker on that day. Yeah, I feel like I already started making some headway into the list of ideas for, like, the Janimation. I've already considered the possibility of doing a stop motion, a style similar to what Craftsman's video did, using computer sprites to do an animation, and then one based off of what the Jazza video did when we talked about the animation styles that people used. He used PowerPoint, I think, for his. And he did a fight scene. I'm not sure I'm big on the fight scene thing, but I feel like I can try more than one. I just have to succeed at making at least one 5-minute animation during the course of January. And then the alphabet project, we've already just sort of briefly gone over that list. I'm going to have to sit down and take a look at it myself and really decide what project I'm going to do for each of those. Which part of which category am I going to use? Marching to your own tune, I have to start thinking now. Script Frenzy, I could probably rebuild an old idea for a script that I never got to work on, or I can go over some of the things we generated this year. But I did already start thinking about the photo books. And that one, I do think I had a lot of fun contemplating the possibilities for that one, and I can go into some more detail in a Vlogsmas video for it. But I was really thinking along the lines of, like, what are some of the things I'd like to do? And I've done a little looking into doing food photography, so setting up a little frame of, like, foods that you've prepared. So food photography. is one of the categories. When I traveled across country for my other channel, I took pictures as I went through different areas of skies and landscapes and nature. And I do think some of those would be fun to do a collection of. And then I'm thinking along the lines of slightly more abstract works, like abstract photography, where you're doing unusual approaches to capturing things with a camera. And so I haven't really hashed out what that means in the long run, but just something that doesn't require you picking a form, an intent, a meaning to what you're doing, but literally just lining things up in an interesting way together and just taking a picture. And then science pictures, believe it or not, is one of the ones that I would love to take a picture of the interior of a plasma globe on a black background to see if I can get a good shot of it. I would love to see those, splash patterns of water hitting other water droplets and making some of these weird splash patterns. I'd love to do macro photography of things in our environment. I would love to see if I could set up something on a telescope and take some astronomical pictures, or a microscope and take some microscopic pictures. And so those kinds of things, I would love to do a series of just the wonders of our world through examination of scientifically interesting concepts with a camera. So I do think some of that would be interesting. I'm not detailing it very well right now because I'm quickly glazing over the intent and idea behind it. But those were 4 categories. Yeah, and it's more available now than it was when we were younger. When I was younger, I can remember it was like $180 to get an attachment to secure a standard camera to your telescope, and you would never know if you got the shot until you've developed them. And it was like, now you've got digital cameras and you've got like 3D printers. You can print an adapter to hook your camera up to the right spot, test fit to see the focus is working just right, and then you just take your picture and you know whether you got it or not. Like, that's super handy. Microscopes, I think they had some things when I was younger, but not young, that you could hook up to computers and take images with a kid's computer microscope. But it shouldn't be super hard to rig something like that up. And heck, I mean, part of the abstract thing could be doing something very similar, but instead of a microscope, a kaleidoscope, and get these abstract pattern designs. So it would be fun to play with some of the optics of that. And I mean, to a certain degree, the making music in March, I could do some very unusual experiments in that environment as well. I mean, I've had some ideas for a couple of goof items. Like I may have mentioned it once before. I do kind of want to do a Christmas album of Christmas carols done with cat meows or cat purrs, largely because I can call it the purr version of Christmas. So it's all for the joke at the end. That's really what it is. But I think it would be kind of fun to make an album, just see if I can mix sounds in a way to make a musical composition using cat purrs. And so that's one of the musical and then I did have a conversation with somebody at one of the VidCons that I went to. He was um, a Jesus impersonator. He wore a Jesus costume, and he's on, I think he's on Fiverr or some of those other types of services where you can pay them to film a message for people in his Jesus role. And I got people all the time at the convention asking me if I was the guy, because I'm me and this is how I look. So I got enough people asking me about it that when I ran into him and I was joking with him, he says, "I think you look more like Weird Al Yankovic." And I said, "What, Weird Jesus Yankovic?" And he goes, "That would be interesting." And I said, "So what do you want me to do? You want me to do parodies of hymns?" He goes, "That would be amazing." And I went, "I can see maybe doing that for a little bit of fun." So I might do something like that. I don't know. It might be just too weird, but I'd give it a go. And then I do have a few other slightly more serious musical experiments that I'd like to do. And I'd love to play around with things like the Daxophone, which is a resonant. Oftentimes, it's got a piezo device inside of it. It's a block with mounted slats of wood, acrylic, or metal that are shaped, and you use another block with frets on it or a smooth side on the back and a bow, like for a violin, and you rub that bow over that. It's essentially the equivalent of taking a ruler like this, putting it on the edge of a table and doing this, and then shortening the distance and getting a different tone. You're doing the same thing, but instead of flicking it, you're using a violin bow to get a steady tone off of it. And so these Daxophones make some very interesting sounds, some of which are very similar to a whale song. But I'd also like to experiment with a few other weird musical experiments. And then there's a little bit more serious approach to music that I've brainstormed for a while. I just like there are enough things that I could play with that I could try a couple different styles of music for, just to get 7 songs, 4 minutes long each. Total volume or total time of the finished work being 31 minutes. Like I'm pretty sure I can meet that category if I'm playing around with music all month in March. So I do think I have ideas worth playing with in those. The Script Frenzy, I could go through the list of the things we came up with this year and see if any of them look like they'd be worth doing a script for instead of writing a. Well, I mean, I guess a graphic novel is a script, right? I think the first time I succeeded at Script Frenzy, I did 5 scripts in the month of April, and one of them was graphic novel, one was a stage play, one was a radio play, one was for a movie, one was for a TV series. I think that's what I did. I did some graphic novel ones a couple times a row, and I could get into doing that again. Like I could do different categories. I'll have to think about which way to go with some of those. That gets us most of the first few months. The photo book, the game jam, and the indie film are the two big brutes that are going to be hard to do. A game in a month isn't unheard of. I did that last year. But January, February, March, April, May, June. July is independent film. August is recipes. Then it's paint, ink, writing, vlogsmiths. So the big broodies are going to be doing that game jam in June. And the independent film in July. And I feel like, there's a part of me that says, like, it's cheating to think about those things now. I'm like, no, it's not. It's really not. If I'm going to propose that other people do this with me as well, then by all means, I'm going to tell you about the opportunities before we even get to the new year. So you have all year long to plan for whatever you're going to create. I'm not going to pretend that you have to wait till the first of the month to do that. It's a lot of workload, and I'm not making these easy challenges. They're challenges for a reason. So Script Frenzy, I could probably do a comic. Movie script. And maybe something else. I won't necessarily do 5 like I did that last time, although I probably could. A 100-page script is not as hard to do as a 50,000-word novel. But at any rate, the game jam, if I did a computer game and a board game, tabletop, maybe it's a card game, I don't know. I can actually probably leave that one to decide the final forms as we approach the month of June. The indie film, I really should start slotting in ideas. Like, I know technically there's a indie film contest, a challenge that happens every year, where they give you a weekend, like a 3-day weekend. On Friday, you go in, they tell you what the themes are, and there's like a thing, a person, and a line or something like that that you have to include in your movie as sort of proof that you didn't know what your product was going to be until you went in that day and they set you off. And then you sit down at the table and you write out your scripts, and then you get your team together, you shoot your film, you edit your film, and you get it to them by that Sunday. And then they judge you by the end of the competition. And I'm like, that's cool. That's a 3-day competition. Most of those are going to be like shorts. And there's a part of me that wants to just see, like, if I didn't limit you that hard, if I gave you the full 6 months beforehand to figure out what you could achieve, outline and maybe even script up your whole script, find your actors, make some costuming stuff, some props, set up a green screen or a set somewhere, and just just in the month of July, that's when you're going to be making your script or making your independent movie. I feel like we could do more than a 5-minute joke script. And you could do it as 1 to 2 people rather than having a team of 5 to 12 people who are going to be able to work together on this. I feel like there's more appeal to me in being able to give it the month to figure out. And I could probably start, figuring out what recipes I want to do for August, figuring out the paintings I would probably do for September, what I'm going to do for Inktober. Just kind of get that in my head, get started, because I do know to a certain degree when I do this year of projects, there are not going to be a great many of people who will join me for every one of them. Most people who participate at all will try one of them. But I'm going to do my darndest to do every single one of them. Probably more than one for each. So like in Janimation, where it's a month to get a 5-minute animation, I'm going to try for more than one. Alphabet Projects is pretty much just going to be 1 letter a day. That's where I'm going to set things. No, see, that's one of the things I debated about, whether or not I don't feel like for most of these that there needs to be any judging. But I do feel like there's some fun in that. So like with the animation, maybe the music, the photo books, the game jam, the indie film, those things I feel like really half the fun of that is like when you go to certain conventions that have a large number of people who do indie films, they do a film award at those conventions. And showing your film, having audiences watch your film, and then having a winners declared at the end of that thing is half the fun of them. So there is an appeal to some of that. But when we do things like Inktober and NaNoWriMo and Script Frenzy, those are things that are not there. Is like when I do National Novel Writing Month, I can sit down, I can write out as much as I want. I may not make it all the way to the end. If I do, there's a printout certificate. There's a verifying piece of software. You could literally copy and paste in the contents of Moby Dick if you wanted to cheat and get that certificate saying you completed it. Nobody's checking. How sad is your life if you cheat on a contest where nobody's checking if you won? Like, that's really the feeling. It's an honor system kind of thing. Did you meet the goal? Yes or no? And be proud of yourself if you did. If you didn't, be proud of yourself for getting as far as you did. I kind of like that aspect too. And I feel like that has some value also in the sense that, like, look, this is asking a lot for anybody to sit down in the month of April and write a script, for anybody to sit down in March and create an album of music in just a month, make a whole album by yourself, and make a complete photo album. Like, to me, it sounds like taking about 150 photographs in the course of a month isn't that much. I can easily imagine many people sitting down, setting up a little picture space, or going for walks and taking 5 pictures a day for 30 days, and you've got yourself 150 photographs that you can build an album from And when you put together your photo album, you can go to like Kindle Direct Publishing or something like that and sell it for $15 on Amazon or something like that if you really want to. You don't have to do those things. Yes, and that's really the goal. Like a personal challenge is one thing, but there is, like, I've participated in one game jam before. I put about a day of time into it before my life fell apart and I didn't have the time to put any more effort into it. And those things are, your goal is by the end of the month to produce a playable game. Even if it's the cheesiest, simplest, shortest game you can produce, you make a playable game. And so the idea of having that playable game is at the end of the month, you let people know where that game is so that they can download the playable demo, and people can rank or rate how they think that game, like, oh, I like this idea for that, and this seemed like a really good idea. I want to see this idea developed further. And I feel like there is some appeal to that, like that feedback and the enthusiasm for other people to play with your work. That is something like the indie films and the game development especially. But I can also see it for animation and music being a factor too. Is these are things best shared, and there's an appeal to, figuring out where you rank in that system. Now, I hate the idea of somebody getting into something like this. I hate the idea of somebody getting into a project like this and being discouraged because, like, I know if I make an indie film, the odds that I will get into a film festival are narrow. They're not very good. But once I get into a film festival, even with my little film that I make, I'm going to be competing against other people who have been doing this for 20 some odd years and make high quality movies with a high-end camera that cost them $4,000 because they invested the time and effort, and they've got a crew of 7 people that they've done 5 other movies with. I'm not going to ever be able to compete with that. And I don't like the idea of creating a competition where you don't take that into account. Like, I want some 15-year-old kid who wants to make films to be able to hop onto this competition and win at the competition like you win at National Novel Writing Month by just meeting the goal. But there is a little bit of an appeal to the idea of getting that prize of being judged by judges and seeing the approval or the encouragement or even like the constructive criticism of where to go next. Like, I'm torn and I'm not sure what the right way to go for that is. Now I feel like for Script Frenzy, for music, we've got 3 months for to get to Marching to Your Own Tune in March. We've got January, February, March, and we've still got all of December. We've got 4 months before we have to worry about whether or not that's a judged competition or not. I can work on making my decisions during the course of this month and seeing what ways may satisfy both sides of that equation. You won because you reached the goal, but also MVP style, who was the best player, who made the best work of this competition. And I feel like you could set different categories, But that's something I can brainstorm as we go through December in my Vlogsmith videos. But for some of the other ones, like decidedly, I don't feel like the Alphabet Project needs judges. Nothing in that needs somebody to judge what you made. Each day, you're doing something creative. If you can make it to the end of the month and you have 26 alphabetical projects to share off and share with other people and be a part of a community that are all doing these things and link to each other about what they're doing, that's all the need you have for that, is that the acknowledgement of the fact that you put the effort in and you got where you wanted to go. If you didn't make it all the way, congratulations for getting as far as you did. Most people don't even do one project a month. Whatever you manage to achieve, that's amazing, and we support you in doing that. We don't have to have people sitting off to the side saying like, well, the technical work on this piece of woodwork, no, don't need it, don't need it. So each of these projects is going to have different sets of goals and judging and competition types. I see animation being one that I have to make a decision of quickly, because I'm setting it up in the next few days. Is you got a month to prepare if you want to start getting ready to do this. New Year's Eve rolls around. We're going to start the new year off with getting your animation skills brushed up on and seeing if you can complete it. Now, can you make a 5-minute animation by the end of the month? That's one qualification. But I do like the idea of screening the examples that people want to share by the end of it. Doing like a reaction series of, today we're going to react to entry number 13 in the final judging of Janimation for January 2021. Like, there is an appeal to doing that. I feel like you can win without going through the judging, but you could go through the judging voluntarily if you wanted to see where else you could go. I just don't know how to make them both options cleanly. Now, Alphabet Project, like I said, doesn't need judges. Marching to your own tune? Would you judge people's albums? We might be able to do that. I might be able to scrape together a couple of my musician friends and figure out a way, like people of the different category of musician that I might know, and ask them like, okay, so you're into folk music, you're into experimental sound music, you're into metal. Now I want you to give me. I know somebody who's into electronic music and makes some of his own. I know somebody who's into death metal. I know somebody who plays in a death metal band. I know a folk music singer. I know like 2 or 3 other musicians easily, with a few connections to 4 or 5 more. And I don't know. Are there prizes? Like, if there are prizes for these, they're gonna be like digital prizes. They're not gonna be like, I'm not gonna make something for each of these. It's gonna be like bragging rights, and then a certificate, an award, maybe a plaque if I really wanted to, or a trophy, but I don't see the need for a physical object like that. Although it could be fun. That's actually, yeah, you don't have to show your works at all. But in National Novel Writing Month, it's like a printout certificate of completion that you met the deadline. I'm thinking like it might be possible to do a simple design of a STL file that people could 3D print. So if you've completed the project in the month of January for an animation, say, you can print out your trophy. And like, again, honor system. Like, if you cheated to just print out your trophy, nobody's gonna call the cops on you. Nobody cares. Your life is just so sad that you had to cheat on a competition where nobody's checking on you. But I do feel like if you wanted to go before judges, I would want to do like a professionals, a first timers, like a few of those types of categories, like under the age of 20 for each of these types of things. And like really, really give them the chance to earn something worthy of note. I don't know that like an STL 3D printed trophy is the way to go. But it can't be like a gift certificate to like McDonald's or some stupid crap like that. I don't know. I'll have to think about that further. There's got to be a way to do it. I know there's some of those like really fun competitions where I've heard of a type that's the goal is not to be the best, but not be the worst either. And it's a way of shorting that process of like the big award, the big trophy is the one awarded to the middle person. And so you can't target that. Like somebody's going to be better than you and somebody's going to be worse than you. And if you're trying not to be the best, it brings down what the top quality of the competition is going to be anyway. So sometimes it's just like you're not shooting for the trophy, you're just goofing around and making what you want to make. And I feel like that's more appealing, but I don't know how you would pull that off in something like these. And of course, my doing my stuff, I would sort of be required to make my creations public, but I'm also not in the running for winning. These are competitions I came up with. I shouldn't be in the lineup for the potential win. But yeah, I mean, I suppose I could bring together some people to do some judging on a few of them. If we did something like that, would I also do it for Paintember for September painting? It'd be interesting to get some art critics or a gallery owner who would be like, that would be worth doing, I think, in that sense. And if you could do something like that for music, movies, I mean, for me, the making of a photo book, that's another one of those that doesn't require judging. Like you finish it, you publish your book online if you want to. And like the Alphabet Project doesn't need it. Script Frenzy doesn't need it. Game Jam, animation, music, indie film, maybe paintings. Maybe 5 things out of 12 would benefit from a judging of the competition. I guess we're going to have to brainstorm some more about this topic as we go through Vlogsmas. I'm still not used to it yet. I know we did last year, we literally did a video pretty much every day for most of the year. So it's not a huge stretch. Most of that was done live. I think it's going to be interesting to get back into the pattern of doing edited videos. But it'll be interesting to see what we come up with this month and how it helps me get back into the swing of creating videos of an edited nature. And it should be a good place to do some of the brainstorming of what we're actually going to do for these challenge competitions. Like the challenge, like we could just stop it right now and say there's no judging, there's no awards. All of these things are just a self-directed challenge. Now, Inktober is one of those challenges that's an existing one. Like most of the ones I'm building up are non-existent until I did it. So Janimation was not a competition that exists. Alphabet Project in February doesn't exist as far as I've ever seen. March to Your Own Tune in March, never heard of it being there before. Script Frenzy used to exist in April. They stopped doing that years ago, 3 to 5 years ago. There are some people who still do it, but it's not an organized thing anymore. I want to revive it. So I don't know if I can really call that my thing. Photo album is my thing. Solo by Solstice Game Jam is me creating a game jam. I can list it on a game jam site that people can sign up to participate in. But it's still a thing I created. And I'd be in charge of taking care of that thing. Independent Film Month in July is me again. Painting or the August Recipes Harvest Fair is me. September Paintember is me. I'm sure somebody's done something similar to that, but that one's all me too. Inktober, that's an existing one. So is National Novel Writing Month, and so is Vlogsmas. So there are 3, kind of 4, if you take Script Frenzy into that equation too, that are pre-existing. But all the others are mine. My idea. I don't want them to be mine. I want them to be sort of a thing that people embrace and make their own. Because National Novel Writing Month isn't mine, but I'm a regular participant, and we're a part of a community that support each other year-round in some of those adventures that we do for writing. And so it's grown past a simple challenge that somebody issued and all that's involved with that. It's become a ritual. It's a holiday. It's sort of like a holiday. It's a month-long holiday that people wait for each year to get ready and participate in. And so I kind of want the rest of them to get to that same point. Even if they don't, I'm fine with it. But just the idea of like a few other people getting into the idea and seeing if they can carry it forward. But yeah, I mean, could we do prizes for them? Maybe, but like we don't have to. We can just issue the challenge and people can give it a go. If we only get 1 year out of it, that's fine. I used to participate in a cartographers guild that used to make handmade, well, they used to make fantasy maps, and there was a challenge that was issued every month, and um, I participated in a few of those, and it was just a regular thing that happened. I also worked on I think it was a challenge that used to exist on, I don't think it was a DeviantArt, but it was something like a DeviantArt, where somebody would propose an art challenge, and then you would make something. So I remember I did a couple poems based off of a challenge of, I think one was borders and one was leaves. And I wrote poems based off of those prompts. And that was the challenge that month or that week or month or whatever it was. Those groups stick around for like 4 to 6 months before people's lives get in the way and they can't keep up with it. And that's part of the problem with doing a weekly challenge or a monthly challenge, is it just like it gets harder to keep doing them. But like a yearly challenge for doing, say, a script or a photo book, that's a different thing. It's not a huge investment of like, and it's the kind of thing where you can look forward to doing it next year too. But so those are sort of the ideas, and we're sort of an hour in. I got to start getting ready for the rest of my month of December, really. But for getting ready for work, the rest of the week is going to be a very busy week, and I need to plan accordingly because some of those days I'm going to be working late. So it'll be what it'll be, I guess. I mean, we have enough stuff to talk about with some of these projects going forward that I'm sure we'll fill up Vlogsmith very well with more detailed examination of these categories. Alrighty, thanks for joining me. Hopefully I answered some of the questions you had there. I will catch you. I guess I'm just doing the live ones on, what's today? Today's Tuesday. So I guess Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday are the live videos. You're certainly welcome to comment on any of the other videos I upload. I'm hoping to get something up each day. So there's plenty of room for contact and communication if you need to. If you can't do it through the communication or other means on Facebook. I don't remember what features are still around on Facebook. They keep changing everything on us. But for now, take care, have a good night, and I will see you on Thursday. Lots to think about. That's an interesting.